Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Go Talk Show with Tracy and Renae. Okay, so everybody must be very aware of what is happening in the world. It can't just be me. And Tracy, I'm hoping some things are going on with you too with this. My like my body must be going through some sort of crazy ass change or whatever because I'm getting all these like red little blotchy things on my face. My hair is absolutely who was always curly is so soft that it's not curling, that it's just like, I don't know. The sides are puffy, the top looked like I was going bald. Like, I don't know what is happening. Like, it's crazy. So today I had to do some sort of curl straight iron, whatever I call the flat iron on it and do whatever. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, it's absolutely insane. And I want to know if you're going through something as well, please put a comment because I need to know that it's just not my system. What do you got? Are you anything going on with you with that?
And that's why we love doing this because it's almost as we all know, everything's changing. And I would say there's such profound energy um, fields or things that they're really true and relevant for most people. And it's fun to kind of compare notes because same, I was like, why? My hair seems to be getting curlier and I don't really have curly hair. Do you see this? Like,
Yeah.
it was funny because before I was like, oh, I got to try and tame my hair. We're going to go online. And I thought, you know what? Nope, that's how my life is. It's everywhere. It's like out of control. Let's present the reality of what's really going on. So it's if fun and same thing. Like you can't really tell, but it's just like these weird little, I like to call them presentations of whether they're coming out in your skin or something is, just behaving, not or misbehaving rather. Um, so for sure. And I love when, we get in conversation and people are, saying, yeah, me too. And I'm going to own right now, I've been super busy lately and I've totally sucked at even paying attention to if anyone's saying anything on the channel. But a week or so ago, I did notice that people kind of were saying a Me Too type thing. So I love the Me Too's and I love being in conversation because it gets fun and interesting instead of frustrating and what the heck.
Yeah. And I have to I'm with you. Like I just when you said it, I'm like, oh my goodness, like I haven't looked at any of the comments or anything. So I apologize. I'll go back and look too, because I've been so busy. There's so many downloads and so many things. But I have to say the healers are saying when we said the system's not behaving like it's misbehaving, and it's almost like a little chuckle where they're like, oh, you humans are so funny because we're stuck in this human realm of this is the way things work, this is how things are, this is what our body does, this is what it looks like, this is what I see, and that's all breaking down. So they said what's happening now is in this full breakdown, we're starting to recognize that nothing is as we thought, nothing is as we've seen it to be, because that's all part of this illusion. So in this illusion that we're in of the limitations of the fears and all that stuff, they said what really is happening is we're letting go of all of that and we are becoming everything yet nothing. So they said in this breakdown, you're going to see things differently. You're going to start to experience them differently. You're going to recognize that the physical form is not what you thought it was. You're going to start to see it differently. You're going to start to experience it differently, in addition to all the experiences out in the world. So we have to have those, right? If anybody's experiencing some of these things that you've experienced before, but now are completely different, like let us know that too. And I'm sure I'm going to sort of like put you on the spot, Tracy, because I'm sure you have to be doing that because you're always in that forefront. So you have to be experiencing things differently than you did before. And if so, let's share it. And if not, tell me too. But give us a story. You're always good at the stories because that lands everything home.
She knows I always have thousands. What's a good one from, because we always share a little bit off screen. I'll just, and if you think of one that's good for me to share, I will just say that um, I don't know why I keep using the word presentations in my life, my, outer reality. They're so rapid fire. I mean, I like it's so many in a day that I start to get stunned at how quickly stuff's changing, how strongly it's presenting, to watch myself and how I'm reacting and responding, and sometimes how long it gets time it takes me to be like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? Time out. No, no, no. Why are you running that old playbook? That's not relevant anymore. But so many things around perception, around the exchange of energy amongst people is huge right now. And that can present in so many forms. And to simplify it, what you're giving and what you're taking. And it's this big energetic, just be mindful of it because wow, the presentations are literally everywhere and they're amplified, or at least they're amplified to me. And then also the money component. I've had so many money things come into play, and it's like things start to highlight in my world for me, that it would just be another day, but all of a sudden it's like, no, do you see that? No. Do you see how people are immersed in the belief system of that? And, and then what's your role in it? And how are you contributing? And what are you going to do about it? Um, can you pick one, Renee? What's a good one we can talk about?
I like that. Like when you're just saying that, like, you know how you're always saying time, energy, money? That's like such a big thing right now. Like with the whole energy aspect of starting to recognize and realize, and you've been talking about this and you've written about it, over and over. But it's that thing of like starting to realize that what do you want to spend your time on? What do you want to put your energy to? Really focus on those two things. And I think it's gonna be so much easier because when you said things are so much more like in your face right now for you, they're that because you've always done that. Do I want to spend my time? Do I want to spend my energy? And do I want to spend my money on this? And I think that's that whole part that has to now come into play. And I'm sorry, I'm going this way because I don't know, like for a story for you before we talked about. I'm like, I don't know, because when you started to talk about time and energy, I'm like, yes, we got to talk about this because do you have any stories with that, with the time and the energy, and how they have shifted? Because the money plays into that as well.
It does. And actually, I love because when you were saying that, I see a lot of things as formulas, algorithms, calculations. And when you were talking, I'm like, well, what am I doing? What do I mean? What did I just say? What I just said? Like they're
Yeah.
presenting for me. Because real time, it's almost as if I'm in a situation and whatever I am, so, what percentage of time am I investing in this? What's my energy? And again, that financial piece is threaded in most things right now, and we don't even realize it. But I really like everything I'm doing in business and relationships and, my own passions and interest. It's more so energy is so it's taking up a bigger percentage of the formula because energy is everything. So and then it's almost like the time and the money, they respond
Mhm.
because okay, so this is what I'm saying, and you
Yeah.
can clarify. So if it's like time plus energy plus money equals desire, well, everything's energy. So at one point, we need to take the concept of time and money and let it just all be everything. Remember when you just said everything and nothing? See, when you talk, Renee, I start to see really complex things. And I'm like, how the heck do I put that in word format? Oh my God, that's so cool. Is that what's happening? Is that what's happening, Renee? Like we're just taking everything and it's blending into just this one beautiful beingness. And we know, but okay, so I'll roll back. And I know I've been doing this unconsciously, is taking that piece of time and money and letting energy direct the flow,
Mm, I love that.
right? Even if my energy is erratic like my hair and all over the place. Okay, I totally, as always, spiraled because as soon as you said that, I saw it so cool and clear. Okay, how do we titrate that back down to a conversation?
Well, I think the time and the energy, if we're really focusing on the time, okay, do I want to spend my time on this? Do I want to spend my energy on this? And they're really sort of pointing out a lot of people with their jobs, which is really interesting because, well, again, it ties into the money clearly because they're saying a lot of people are doing things for the money. They're not doing it for the joy, for the fun that they get. And with this whole fear of AI coming in, the same people start to pay attention, start to focus on doing what you love. And what I love about them saying that is, remember during COVID, so many people either lost their jobs or quit their jobs, whatever it was, but started to do things that they loved and actually ended up making it a business. And
Mm.
then didn't go back to work and were just doing that and are so much more successful. I mean, I've heard of like so many people and so many things that were started during that. That's awesome. And they're making so much more than they had ever made before. But what they're saying is if you're focusing on what do I want to spend my time in this, do I want to spend my energy on that, eventually it ties into the money aspect. They're saying so many people are, how can I make this money? This is the money that I need to make because I need this, 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 because these are going to make me happy, or these are going to make me whatever, feel worthy, or whatever it is. And then once you get them, they're saying that dopamine rush is right there. And you're like, oh yeah, got this, got this. Well, then that settles down. Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, now, oh wait, no, what else do I need to make me happy? What else do I need to give me peace? What else do I need for this? I'm saying all of this stuff happening right now in the world is sort of forcing us. So if you're struggling on something, got to go with the flow a little here, because it's forcing us to start to pay attention to us, what's inside of you, because they said everything that you think you need out here that you not need to spend money on, they're saying go back to the time, go back to the energy, exactly what you were saying. So do I want to spend my time on this? Do I want to spend my energy on this? If it's no, or if it's, yeah, I do because it's going to make me this money, you're at the wrong thing. Now you're going to end up probably, no doubt, with lack, they're saying, because if you're doing it for money, you're in a place of lack. If you're doing it because, yeah, I want to spend my time on this, I want to spend my energy on this, like it makes me feel good, then the money's just going to flow. It's just going to be. We have it, they're saying the human elements have it all wrong. The consciousness somehow shifted, whatever they're showing me, it's a long time ago. So I don't know if they're trying to give me time. I'm like, this is a long time ago. Shifted a long time ago where it was like, you have to make money because you have to have a house, you have to have this, you have to have this, you have to, because that's what life is about. And now people will look at me and look who I am. And they're saying that all went to the wayside really only about 4 or 5 months ago in a huge way. They started to go on the wayside last year in a big way, they're saying. So now it keeps magnifying more and more and more. It's like if you're here to experience something and you don't get that experience, the next one's going to be more in your face and more in your face, more until you finally get kicked in the face. You're like, oh, Jesus, okay, yeah, got it. So because I always just think they're experiences, not lessons. So I would say it's an experience. So as the point, so they're saying like go of the money aspect. And I know people are saying, oh my God, but yeah, but I got bills. Because that's not reality. Reality is do what you love. Start to really look and see at what you do. Do you want to spend your time on this? Do you want to spend your energy on it? It will come back in to the money because the money will just flow. And quite honestly, they're saying don't even worry about the money because eventually that's not going to be worth shit. So it's like, okay, so focus there, time, energy. And I'm sure there's a ton of whatever times where you can look and say, I did that and it didn't feel good. I didn't want to do it. Well, that's, you spend your time and your energy. If you didn't want to do it, don't do it. And I know, a lot of people, use family as an excuse. Well, they're family. I have to. Why? Why do you have to? Is it, to me, it's always been weird when people say that. And I mean, if you get along with your family, great. But if then you wouldn't want to not be there. But I don't know, it's interesting where people feel obligated to do something. Again, go back to the time and the energy. If you want to spend your time and your energy there, do it. If you don't, then don't. And you don't need to make excuses. No, I'm just not coming. Or no, I'm not doing that. Because what you're putting that energy to is what you will continue to bring more and more and more to you. I don't know. I just felt like I was just rambling about anything. You got anything?
Yeah, I want because as I, disclosed to Renee, my last week was a shit show. I mean, it was things just kept dropping in that were not a choice. They were like literally dropped in and I was like, shit, now I got to deal with this. Business stuff, just all kinds of just life stuff. And through it all and through talking, this whole, but, um, like why did that come into my experience? And I will tell you, if you can sit back and get some perspective, everything that was challenging, there's not one that I don't think was great that it dropped in. I mean, and that's where I think we're at right now. Like we are given the opportunity at what level and at what strength of, experience you're asking for and, have the resilience to get through. It's really moving and dismantling quickly. And I would just encourage everyone. Of course, Renee is my go-to, like, holy crap, let me tell you what just dropped in yesterday. And then we kind of talk it through. And I was like, oh my God, that's so awesome. And because this is my every time we do this, I always take like a nugget for the week. And I forgot what you were even saying, Renee, but it was like I saw her, like there's so much challenge and struggle and conflict. And I saw, wait, why can't it be contrast and not conflict? And then I look back at a couple examples that happened to me, and I was like, that's interesting. I totally approached it as conflict and challenge and struggle. But in hindsight, after the fact, talking it through, seeing another perspective, I'm like, what a beautiful contrast to let me see it different, to let me show up different. And I'll just give a quick, I have a thing of, I always feel like I'm cleaning up everyone's mess, whether it's my kids, whether it's relationshipal thing, like my kids and their relationships or business stuff. And oh my gosh, it just kept dropping in and dropping in and dropping in. And then I was kind of given the opportunity to be like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And then I saw it. And then I went back and I had a few conversations with people. And I'm like, hey, I know this is how the relationship was kind of working. We're not doing this anymore. And I'll just use my daughter. I love to use my kids, and my daughter, she doesn't listen, so I don't have to worry. She's 18, normally she's like, meh, meh, meh. And she's like, I see that, Mom. Okay, I get you. Yep. And then right away, she's cleaning up her stuff. So I like the examples, but to just play with the fact of it doesn't have to be conflict. Let it just be enough of a contrast to see what you're not willing to put up with anymore. You don't want it to play out that way because we've all written a script at some level. I obviously wrote the script of, well, I just have to clean up everyone's messes. And I won't go through all the stories because there's so many, and a lot of them are punches in the faces. And then finally I'm like, wait, well, I don't have to do this. So that is my energy, how I'm using my time. There is a lot of finances, woven into all the stories. So let me be the one that moved the needle and presented it to you. So you don't have to don't ask for the challenge or the conflict. Just take the contrast and be like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to start seeing it this way.
Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because it really is that easy. We've been programmed to think things have to be so difficult. You have to go through all of these steps to make changes. That's old energy. That's the old way of doing things. The Earth's energy and our energy is shifting every second, right? So things are getting easier and easier and easier. So it's a matter of recognizing that ease, recognizing all of those things. And exactly what you said, instead of conflict, let it be contrast. And another thing, as you were saying all that stuff, I was remembering in part of this energy and part of us I'm gonna say falling away from what we were, and I don't really know if that's the right wording, but in changing and shifting, I guess, and changing and shifting into what we really are, which is everything yet nothing. When we're doing that, you will no doubt start to lose the ability to form true full sentences, or you won't remember what certain things are. Like I was talking to my husband this weekend, and I needed the word politician. And I could not, for the life of me, remember what that word was. And I was trying to describe the like what it was. I'm like, what word am I looking for? And even the description, I wasn't, saying it. And what was funny was then I had heard when I was talking to Tracy that it really was so irrelevant. Like that conversation was just really a waste of your time because it was what they're saying is complaining about something and utilizing that aspect, but they're saying the words, and we have said this before, on the show, and even before that, we've always said that words are breaking it. Like we're not going to be needing the words. The words are just something that we've placed a meaning to, and which reminds me of when we were talking, Tracy. There was, listen, you guys got to be doing things that are fun, that are bringing you fun, that are bringing you joy, that energy right there. And then I can't remember what they were saying and something else. They're like, yeah, well, that was just like, that wasn't fun, or that was, I can't remember. They said fun, but it was in a different meaning. It was a different meaning of fun. So there was two different ways that they were utilizing that, which was in deep contrast to each other. So it's that point of recognizing even what we're saying, even our meaning for the words, looking at it is it's just a word. If you're offended by a word, really think about it. Why am I offended by this word? It's a word that somebody gave a meaning to. Somebody saying something to you may have a completely different understanding of that word than you have. But what they were saying was the words are breaking down as well. So when you're looking for certain words, you're like, oh my goodness, why can't I remember that word? What is going on with me? Realize and really look and feel it. Do I really need this word? Because what the healers were saying was, you're just talking about a group of people. It's just a group of people. It doesn't matter that you have labeled them as politicians. They are individual people, energy fields that may or may not vibrate within your own field. So I hope I got my point there. I really am not exactly sure if I did. But do you got anything to do with anything to say about that?
Yeah, because I think it's setting us the stage for science and math to start breaking away and how limited. Because I was getting, you said it earlier, and it's funny because now it's coming back. 2 plus 2 equals 4, but still, so does 3 plus 1. But if you say that to someone who only speaks Russian, it means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So our whole concept of everything of, well, I don't even care, pick a subject, math, science, physics, it's all starting to expand beyond definition and vocabulary. So I think we're all getting positioned. It's kind of like the ET thing, this AI. I think we're really be given right now so many experiences. So what's becoming more and more real, which is reality, doesn't like short circuit everything we thought was true is actually a limited version of what really is true. And I think we're going to start to see more and more of science got it wrong, math doesn't add up. Oh my gosh, there's an extraterrestrial standing in front of me, but I'm not going to freak out because I've had some experiences. I really do think, and like I said, I will say in my life, it's getting funky. I mean, just the technology, it's already happening to me all the time where, technology breaks, or I didn't do that, or, I won't go into all the examples, but it's getting really funky. And Renae and I talk about it. And I expect it, whereas most people would start to get really frustrated because, well, it's not working the way it's supposed to. Well, I didn't sign up for that. Why are they charging me that? So it's getting, I'm going to use the word fascinating, interesting, and try and keep it that in that arena and not challenging, frustrating, discouraging. Because we spoke about it like every single day, month, the acceleration pedal is going quicker and quicker into the new.
Yes, absolutely. And I think in that, starting to recognize when things aren't going the way we perceive it should be going, remember, everything's breaking down. If we are in a pattern, in a program, that too is falling apart. So they're saying recognize when things aren't going, okay, stop. Either come back to it if you can, or look at it a different way. They say, and a lot of times what they're saying is if you're saying to yourself, okay, wait a minute, let me see this differently, or let me see the contrast, whatever, however you want to say it, and you take a breath, they're saying you will see it because the overall consciousness is shifting so much right now that as we say or think something, it immediately happens. Whether we recognize that or not is something completely different because, again, we're focused usually like this. This is what my life is. You know, here it is. We got these little blinders on. But now you start to say something, you're slowly chipping away at these little things. If you're really into it, and you know, because what they're saying, they're showing it like this, they start to like spread out. So you're seeing like the spaces, so you're allowing things, and then all of a sudden they just drop off. The more you're saying, the more you're thinking, I wonder if I could see this differently, or I wonder why this is happening, not in a frustrated point. And okay, this is happening for a reason. So what am I going to take from this? Or I'm going to, step back from this. I was working on some stuff this weekend, and then I went to pull it back up, and it was all gone. Like I couldn't find it. Now, trust me when I say maybe even 6 months ago, I would have been freaking out, and every other word under the sun would have been coming out of my mouth. That everything I had worked on for 4 days was gone. But I was like, okay, I guess I'm not supposed to be working on it now. And just shut the computer down, went away. Next day when I came back to it, it was all there. There wasn't a problem. But it was that thing of instead of getting frustrated, and it was like, okay, guess I shouldn't be working on this. And I get some people will say, well, when I'm at work, I have to do that. Maybe it's a matter of just shifting. Okay, I'm sure there's other things you got to do too. Shifting that, or just taking the time and energy and be like, no, I'm going to see this differently. I'm going to let go of all of this. I'm just going to see it as a contrast to something showing me a different way to do things, because you'll be surprised at what starts to happen. And it's a matter of just allowing all of that, because the more we're doing that, the more we're going to shift that consciousness and release something that just the whole bottom is going to fall out of everything. And then we're now into a new field, new existence, a new reality, a new vision, whatever it is you want to call, a million different words. But it's a matter of knowing everything in our world is changing and shifting. It's moving in a very good way. We have to get out of our comfort zones, move into the unknown and get comfortable with it. Because if we're in a comfort zone, clearly it's like, okay, yep, we know what to expect, and the body's going to continue to do what it's doing. But if you're in that little bit of uncomfortableness, then okay, I'm growing, I'm expanding, I'm shifting. And that's where we have to be. And then you get so okay with being in that nothing zone, like, okay, just going with the flow, and what's going to happen is going to happen. And it's not that you're not, I don't want to say planning, but it's not that you're not, like, I guess in lack of a better way to say it, planning your day. You are, but you're open to allowing things to get you off of the path that you thought you were going on that day. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I'm not saying it's easy, but yeah.
Right.
But the more, yeah, because I will say stuff got thrown in my path, a lot this past week. And it's that whole course correct piece. And oh, interesting. Why? And if you have to throw a temper tantrum first until you get to that, oh, interesting. Why? Then okay. But it's just getting so cool. And I think that whole like step back, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I ask all the time, ooh, why? Why did that, fold out that way? Why did I show up like that? I think that's really important right now to, to not the self-responsibility piece and the integrity piece are huge right now. And I notice a lot of people not showing up with integrity and not taking self-responsibility. Um, and that's just a reflection back at me to make some choices of what I'm doing, who I'm interacting with, and why did I put myself in that position? So it's not bad, it's all information. And I think the information is going to get louder and louder. And it's just, are you willing to look at it? How are you going to respond to it? And the more you do, the more the flow piece comes in that you're just like, oh, all right, really? Then I'm going to go this direction. Or
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. Okay, great. Let's go this direction. So yeah.
Mhm. I like that. And then recognizing all the, like taking the time to just daily, like have something, whatever, on your bedside or on the table, whatever, where you could just write all of the positives of that day or some of the positives or something that you thought was going to go one way that went another way. Even if you thought that it was a negative in that moment, if you look at it the next day, when you're not so in your head on that, you look at it and you're like, oh, I can see how that worked out. Because I know in life in general, I can look at things that I thought was absolutely horrible at the time. And now I can look back and be like, oh, see, that happened because this, and this. This is where I was supposed to be, or whatever it was. There's always, we don't know the big picture. Well, we do. We do know the big picture, but we're in the human field of limitation and of fear. So we're not remembering the big picture. Start to say when something happens, and like you said, and I do that too, like if you're angry about it or whatever, okay, be there, but don't wallow in that. Later on say, okay, I'm sure this all happened for a reason, because in the bigger picture this is going to play out and I'm going to know it. And even if you say I know it now, because then they're saying that will open up the energy field to letting stuff drop in. But they're saying when we're in that field, we're not going to actually truthfully get the information, because they're showing like part of the mind closed off. Because you're okay, oh yeah, I know that happened for a good reason, but you're still really not open to getting it truthfully. But they're saying usually in a couple of days people are, or sometimes it's just a longer field. So it's you're gonna recognize and realize that. But just see, they're saying the big key is what Tracy always says. Do you want to put your time? Do you want to put your energy into this? And then ultimately, do you want to put your money towards it? Because I think we talked about this a couple shows ago, where everybody's really sort of purging. A lot of people are purging. Tracy and I went through, and I know, like I was just like, going through the house and getting rid of stuff, like stuff that I meant something to me at one point that I was like, yeah, no, get rid of it. Like it's crazy because it don't really have a meaning anymore. Even like things that like people may have given me, and I was like, oh my God, this is so great. Like it reminds me of this person. It was just like it didn't hold the same anything. But again, because the energy is changing and shifting. We may have loved it then and it held a great energy. Now you've changed. If somebody gave it to you, their energy changed too. And now it might not hold that same energetic field, or it's holding an energetic field you no longer vibrate with. So start to really look at things and do I need this? Is bring me joy? As my daughter always says, I'm like, I don't know, should I get rid of this? And she's like, does it bring you joy? I'm like, not really. It's just a nothing. She's like, well, then there's your answer. So, it's that point. So just sort of like pay attention, but really recognize time, energy, and then ultimately money, because we're so tied into that money aspect, and it's holding us, what they're saying is holding your world hostage, because you think that that's what makes the world go round. And they said there's even statements like that. That is not true. Your time and your energy is what truthfully is making your world go round. What are you putting energy to? We are creating every single thing in our life, whether we want to accept it or not only in our life, in the world. What are you putting energy to in the world? And is that what you want to put your energy to? If it's something that you're perceiving negative, oh my God, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Okay, look at, you're putting energy to that. Is that what you want to happen? Because if not, change your energy field. Because they're saying nobody will let you, and I've always said this another time, nobody will let you down from your expectation. So if you're saying, well, I have no control over this person, and they're just showing somebody way up here, okay, they're showing everybody, all of us here. So I say, I have no control over this person. They're creating everything that's happening in our area of the world. Well, no, that person is responding to your energy, how much energy is going there. They will never let you down from your expectation. If you have an expectation that this person is evil, this person is bad, it's going to make your life hell, well, congratulations, you created that beautifully. So if you then look at it as a contrast and say, okay, no, how can I see this differently? Okay, I'm not going to put that energy to that person. I'm not going to put that energy to the world. I'm going to put a positive energy here. If you put a positive energy, even if you don't like it, and I can tell you this by experience, you say, you know what? Even if you swear, you say, I send this effing love. The effing word doesn't mean anything. Love is love. So, you send it love, or I send it light. Light is my big thing now, because love is such a tiny word compared to the energy field, believe it or not. So I send this light, and I'm going to cancel all of my old energy. I'm going to fill all the energy, all the fear energy, all the anger energy that I was, putting out there. I'm going to fill it all with light. What it does is it then shifts and transpires and rolls back into your energetic field as light and positiveness. Because even as you're in that negative, what I'll refer to as a negative energy, you're folding that into you, into you, into you, into you. So you're going to continue to create that, and then it might cause, an illness within you. It might cause something else, more anger, because that's what you're bringing to you more and more and more. But they're saying, pay attention and take ownership of every single thing you're doing. Because when you're putting that energy there, it not only is creating, and they're actually using the word conflict, which is interesting. You're actually creating conflict within the energetic field of the world. And that energetic field is not only affecting you, but affecting everyone and everything. The more you're focusing on your time and your energy, do I want to put energy to this thing that is pissing me off, that's making me so angry that, oh my God, I know this is going to go bad? Is that the energy you want to put there? So if not, they're like, bring it over and saying, okay, look at it from a conflict point of view. Looking at it from this conflict, you want to shift and you want to change it. Let's put light there instead. Even if you're not feeling it, the minute you say it, the minute you think it, that's exactly what happens. So the more light you're putting in, the more you won't have those energetic fields of the conflict. So they're saying more light, light, light. But if you put light in and then you go back into the conflict, guess what? You're more tied into the conflict because it's got you. It's got the energetic, emotional feel to that whole aspect. When you have that emotional feel, you are shifting and changing your entire energetic field and your foundation and the consciousness for all of those of your like-minded aspect, the like-minded field of existence. So they're saying, so we do that, keep putting light and light, 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 light. All of a sudden you'll be here, the conflict will be here. You won't even see or feel this conflict. If something happens, and they're saying in the world, if something happens in the world that you would have perceived, that you used to put the energy to, it won't even touch you. It won't be anywhere near you, because you'll be in a whole different realm, in a whole different field of existence than the people that are putting the energy there. That's where they're saying there's an energetic shift and an energetic realignment. And Tracy, we talked about this before we came on, where you won't see it because you're in a different field, and everybody experiencing it here, they're going to see it, they're going to experience it, because that's the reality. That's the field they're in, which they talked about it in the Celestine prophecy, where I don't remember his name, where he was, they were trying to capture him and they couldn't see him. And he was standing right there because he was in a whole different vibration, a whole different field of existence. But then when he saw his friends had got captured, he went into fear, and all of a sudden he reappeared into that reality, and they were all standing around him, and they grabbed him and they got him. But that's the thing. You cannot be in that field if you're sitting there in light, or whatever name you want to call it. Okay, so is that aspect, and they're saying, so ultimately, if you're thinking of time, energy, the money, this was a long way to get there. The money over here, the money will eventually drop and fall, but it's gonna, as you're doing all of this, because you're no longer going to be tied into the money aspect, is just showing like a little key. The key will unlock the realms of reality, the true realms of reality. They're saying not the reality we're in, because they're saying this is all the illusion. So it will unlock that, and that whole bottom is going to fall out, and then we elevate up into the next field of existence. And what I find interesting is, because I always pay attention to these little things, like my hands are here and here. Remember, this was the conflict people over here on my left, and this was ones that were sitting in light. Notice the difference. Notice how they're close because we're always holding the energy for them. So the minute they want to shift and get out of that, then they come up into that reality. But it's interesting how they're still always in. Notice everybody came up. We're never leaving anybody behind. We can't move forward leaving people behind. We're always holding the space. So imagine all this complex still held in a bubble of light. So as we're moving, they're moving with us. And then eventually they said they may come together. All right, I'm done with my little lecture there. Got anything from that?
Well, I'll give kind of a maybe a real life example that I was thinking when you were saying that, because politics is huge right now. And I find it more and more so. I'm separating myself from all of that. And I not intentionally, I just find like I'm really not interested and engaged. The more it escalates, the less I am interested or engaged in it, not in a bad way, but not in a I'm not engaging type of way. And I have noticed as that's happening to me, there's so many people that I'm in conversation with that are so in it on an issue. And what I've noticed is it doesn't, they don't understand, like taxes or the stock market or, all of these big issues, like how the economy and the ecosystem really work, like, the fuel and all this stuff. Or even, the very controversial abortion or the whole tax on tip things. Like there's all the immigration, there's all of them. And because we own so many businesses in different states, they actually affect me greatly. But I don't engage. Like I've owned businesses through multiple politicians and multiple policies, and you learn, you roll through it. And I find it so fascinating how many people, and I'll use the abortion because that's what came through when you were talking. They're so ingrained in that topic. And I'm like, you don't get your period anymore. What are you? It's not personal for you. So and not that not every issue is at this level of understanding. My point being, everything matters, but the fact of the matter is, it's all a game of illusion and bullshit anyway. It's all of these policies, the tax system, the stock market, they're all at this level, at this structure, crap. There's no equity or justice or fairness. It's a sick, disgusting, entangled game that you can't even look at it or address it from that level because the whole thing, you can't create a solution at the same level perspective that the problem was created.
Mm.
So, and I'm just giving you very controversial, very, real life things here that I very surprisingly find myself less and less engaged. And because I'm like, there's no solution at the level of argument. And the details that you're arguing, you don't even know enough about it because it's so complicated, so convoluted that we don't know what we're talking about. Because I know, I'll just give the example, employees in my business, they say stuff and I'm like, do you have any idea how that works? Like workers' comp, they're clueless of how that works. Half of them are clueless to how the tax system works. I'm like, well, it depends on what you withhold. What? I'm like, yeah, and that's fine. There's no judgment there, but I'm always fascinated now at the level of engagement and emotion that people have at topics that they're very short-sighted in the bandwidth of their understanding and the how it affects their world. And I'm giving you a very hard, like punch in the face example of what you just spoke to, where I don't know, where's your energy going and what's your intent? You could be angry about it and you could fight to be right and you could fight for your opinion and your judgment, but do you even know the truth of behind the elements that you think are what you're fighting for and the equation that you're speaking of, because I'm seeing energetically, most people, they they're they're kind of fighting for their destruction at some level because they don't understand the dynamics of what they have been told are incorrect, they're not true, and they're fighting so hard to be right that in turn they're really fighting for untruths. I don't know why I went there
Yeah.
because I see it happening more and more, and I'm trying not to get, I'm like, hey, these people are literally like standing in line voting for their destruction. And it's kind of like, you just hold, you hold here. Don't get engaged. So I don't know why I opened that up, but that's kind of what you were speaking to. And I find myself getting less and less engaged in all of that extraneous stuff, and it's, and I'm using the big ones, the tax, I don't even know all the issues anymore because I'm starting to not pay attention at all. Um, so it's just something to think about. And then that frees up so much time and energy to be right here in your life. Well, what's relevant for me right here, right now, literally like right in front of me? Why is my hair being all quirky? Like, why did that relationship experience just show? Do you see how it works? It's like it's designed to have our energy and focus on all these things that, respectfully, everyone, you don't have control of and you really don't understand it. You just don't. You can think that you do, and you can, well, yeah, on this news and this it says, and I'm like, okay, well, Google it again because you're going to see something totally different.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I'm sure you open it up because we just go with the flow. We go with what, Tracy and I have these conversations, before we start recording, just general, like what's going on, what's happening, like, with our life and our experiences, whatever. And then we, hit record and come on. And we always say, man, some of the stuff we were talking about, I hope that comes through. We're just open to, okay, what comes through because we totally trust and we know that whatever we're saying is supposed to be said for whatever reason. So
And even if I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. No, I'm not talking about that. No, you're going to talk about it. It's fine.
it does. It always it's got a way of coming through. So it's just a matter of, again, focusing. I was use Tracy, what you've always said is the time, energy, and money, and then choose wisely.
Choose, God, that is huge right now. I cannot even express how huge that is. And just loop back to what I said.
Yeah.
Choose wisely. Really check the integrity of what you think you know and of what you think that you are fighting to be right about or fighting to happen. And I'm using that word intentionally because again, the amplification, I'm kind of like, oh my goodness, look at everyone.
Yeah.
Look. So, and again, because why? It's so good. Like there's so much fun. Like it's so good. Anyway, I gotta end on the positive because it's all amazing. We know this.
Well,
It's just
definitely.
that little, we're in the,
Yeah, and think about any fight you've ever had. Have you ever changed that person's view? No, everybody's got their own view. So go back into that. Okay, we agree to disagree, period. And that's it. And next time you're fighting for something, stop and feel the energy to it. If you're sitting there with your blinders on, you're probably going to be feeling your energy of what you think you know. Just say, I'm open to feeling the big picture. I'm open to really, because exactly when you said, like, depending on what you're listening to, whatever, I'm sure I'm with you, Tracy. I haven't seen anything political or anything, for a while. And that's probably why I couldn't get the politician word out. But it's that point of, because I feel the energy when somebody else say something to me, oh my God, can you believe this? It's almost like I don't hear it. It's like, because the minute that energy is coming at me, I must be nullifying it or something, because I'm not truthfully hearing, but I'm feeling the energy to what they're saying. And I can feel, I'm like, oh no, what they're saying is so incorrect. But I'm not going to say that to them because it doesn't really matter to me, quite honestly. That's their opinion. So I just go, oh, well, okay, that's interesting. That's your opinion. And if they want to fight, and really nobody has, but if somebody wants to fight you on and say, well, no, that's not my opinion, that's what's happening, you have that choice. Is this what you're going to spend your time and your energy on? Are you going to get into this battle, which who cares? Who cares that, what it is? It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant in the big picture. You focus back in on you. What do you want your life to be? What do you want your world to be? And I know that sounds crazy, but is your world that of all of this strife and all of this stuff, all of the conflicts and all that, or is it just going to be like, no, I'm going to put my time and my energy to this, which of course the money will just flow into that whole aspect, because why? You are choosing wisely. Right? What else you got? Anything?
Nope, that's just an exclamation point.
Yes. And more and more and more. All right. So remember, people, time and what are you putting your time, your energy to? I'll throw money in there, even though I don't really feel like it has a place there. What do you put your time, energy, your money to? Choose wisely, my friends. Choose wisely. Have an awesome time creating your day, and we'll see you again. Bye.